Hello, it's Romanosky from Calgary, Canada. I'm shooting from the lug nuts facility. And what we have here is a vibrant orange Mini. This is 2016 Mini Cooper S. It's for sale. It comes to us from a retired couple who owned this car for her and this Jaguar I-Pace SVR for him. Both cars had a very easy life. The Jaguar is a 2020 with 50,000 kilometers. This is a 2016 with only 37,000 kilometers. This Mini was purchased in Toronto, although it didn't stay there for very long. The couple relocated to Calgary shortly thereafter. And so it has been in a garage with a Jaguar in Calgary since around 2017. It's traveled 37,000 kilometers in that time with virtually no winter use at all. The undercarriage of the car is, immaculate. Okay, I think this is the kind of used car most people are looking for. It's a one-owner car with full service history at the dealer with a clean Carfax and no paint or body work. So that checks a lot of boxes right there. It's a great color in volcanic orange with a black interior, and it's a manual gearbox. And so the spec, the color, the condition, the history, the ownership history, the provenance is all excellent with this car. And I'm sure that it's going to make somebody really happy. I can just imagine the next owner receiving it and being absolutely thrilled, because it's such a cute little car. And with Mini, for the price you pay and what you get in terms of how special the car is, the interior materials, fit and finish, design, and so on. So it's really a couple of leagues above, what the class of car that it is, which makes a Mini classless, just like the originals were in the 50s and 60s. And just as the woman who worked in a factory would buy a Mini, and Peter Sellers had one too. So BMW did a really great job reinventing the brand and keeping the brand values, but updating the mechanicals to current, even if the new Mini is quite a bit bigger than the old Mini. But anyway. So we've got this car in volcanic orange. It's a 2016. It would have gone into service in November 2015. It's covered 37,000 kilometers on it. I've got a service record from Mini downtown in 2016 for 10,000 kilometers. And then it's been serviced at Mini Crowfoot since then. And then I've got invoices at 16, 20, 29, and 32,000 kilometers. Okay, nothing exceptional in there, just regular servicing from the dealer. I'm not an expert on Minis, but this is the high-spec Mini Cooper S. It would have the 4-cylinder turbocharged engine, around 180 horsepower. It has a 6-speed manual gearbox. And this one, I don't know if there were options that were available that aren't on this car, but I can't imagine what they would be. We have a full leather interior. We've got heads-up display. Of course, we have power windows, power locks, power mirrors. When we start the car, we can see that it's got a rear view camera. We've got a nice sound system. We've got the big sunroof here with a sunshade. And is it a manual shade? Okay, so we've got the big panoramic sunroof, leather interior, heads-up display. We have Harman Kardon sound. We have the carbon fiber-esque interior. We have heated front seats. What else do we have here? USBs, USB-A's for power. We've got the multimedia center menu. Has a manual handbrake for your skid turns to impress your friends. And what else? It has navigation. We'll see if that comes up. We'll go back. Anyway, so I think, I'm not sure what else a Mini could have come with that this car, I mean, there was the John Cooper Works, which had a little bit more power. But I think, like I said, I'm not an expert, but I believe this, I can confidently call this Mini a fully loaded Cooper S in a really great color. So we've got 17-inch tires, 205s on the front. Are they square rigged or are they staggered? They're 205s on the front and 205s in the rear, so they're equal size, V-rated tires. And these ones look probably original to the car, I'm guessing. They probably have about 20%, 25% wear left. The front brakes, they're a little bit crusty, but they don't really show that much wear on them. The alloy wheels, at least the driver's side front, we've got a tiny little bit of curb rash here. Actually, I didn't even notice that before. Do you want to zero in on that? We'll just go around the car and do an exterior walk around. So we've got that, and we've got a little bit here on the passenger side. Again, no major chunks, just a little bit of scuffing. And on the passenger side, we have some curb rash here. And this wheel's okay. This wheel doesn't have any curb rash at all. So 3 of the 4 wheels have a little bit of curb rash. I don't see any marks on the front bumper or rear bumper. There's no, telltale scrapes where the car may have caught something when parking. I don't really see any stone chips at all on the front of the car. And does this have 3M on it? Does it have film? No? No, so there's no film on the car, but there's no marks either. If we look at it really carefully, there's evidence of a couple, several very minor pits, and they've been touched up. But from literally 3 feet away, it looks like perfect new paint. And the glass and the chrome, the badging, all looks in excellent shape. We have a couple little holes here from the front license plate where it would have had to have had an east. That would have been done by the dealer. For the windshield, we've got some minor pitting in the original Mini windshield, but we don't have any cracks. So in Calgary, at least, you're just not going to do anything about that until the whole thing is shattered, which it will be eventually. If we look down the sides of the vehicles, the flanks of it, I don't see any door dings or scratches or imperfections on the driver's side, except that. There is a little slight, I don't know if you can even photograph that, but there is a little slight ding there. And other than that, this whole side of the car appears to me clean. The rear bumper is also free of any scuff marks. I don't see any on either side. The exhaust tips polished up to a nice chrome finish. If we look at the tailgate, sometimes this area can be scraped up. loading and unloading and so on, and it isn't. Okay, so the trunk area, well, it doesn't even really look used. There's no staining or rips or different evidence that something's been shoved in there uncarefully. So all that looks really good. The black trim, there's no markings on these pieces, and the wiper blade is still supple. Glass and chrome on the lights is perfect. Along this side of the car, I'm just going to see if I can see any. Yeah, actually, it's funny. In exactly the same place on this fender, mirrored on the other side, there's a little dent there. I'm not sure what that is caused from, but there's a slight little dent there. And I don't see anything else on this side of the car. I did notice that there is on the black top, there is a little ping on the roof here. And there's something much subtler, but I can see that there is also something that's right there. Difficult to photograph, and the light has to hit it just right, but there's a slight indent right there. And I think that is it for cosmetic imperfections on the Mini. It presents almost like a new car. Literally from 5 feet away, it looks brand new. But if you look at carefully, 3 of the 4 rims have a little bit of curb rash. There's some very minor stone chips that have been touched in, and there's a couple places on the car where there is a little slight dent. But the overall condition commensurate with 37,000 kilometers of a garaged Mini. So many of these live on the street, and this one didn't. It shared space with the Jaguar, of course, and it led an easy life. The couple were retired professionals, and so that's who you want to buy a Mini from, or an SUV. For this class of car, they can have wildly different owners and profiles in terms of utility and so on. And so you want a car that was just used for one person commuting, going from heated underground parkade to garage. Okay, and that's what this car was. So let's just verify the paint depth. So with modern manufacturing, modern painting, we're expecting a depth of around 150 micrometers. So that's 0.15 of a millimeter, so around 1/10 or 2/10 of a millimeter. And so we can just go through the car, 122, 90.5. So when the car is painted, from new, the paint will flow, and there'll be different thicknesses depending on the contours of the body panel, and that explains 0.05 of a millimeter of variance. So here we're at 96, 89, 116, 104, 95, 116, 139, 98, 116, 127, 130. I missed this. There's a little dent there too. Barely notice it, but it's there. 137, 129, 162, 101, 113, 117, 115, 112, 121, 153, 101, 116, 127. Okay, 137. Okay, so that really verifies the fact that it has original paint, no paint work, and corroborates with the Carfax, which shows that it has no accident damage. Getting in the car, really, I can't really fault it. You know, there's no marks on the bolster, on the seat. The carpets look new. There's no marks on the steering wheel or the gear selector. I can't see any evidence of any wear whatsoever on the interior of the car. I would say the interior cannot be reasonably faulted, and it looks basically like a brand new car. I doubt anybody's ever been in the back, and I know that I mean, this car traveled a lot less kilometers than the Jaguar, so I bet not many people have ever even been in the passenger seat either. Okay, basically it was one retired professional's commuter car that got light duty. Okay, so we can do a cold start and a driving video on this Mini Cooper S. It's not going to be too illustrative. I mean, it's a late model, low mileage car. We're not expecting anything unusual, but we can at least demonstrate that you know, the battery's strong, that it starts right up, that there's no ancillary noises from, you know, the different components on the front of the engine. We'll also look for check engine lights and other signs that it needs servicing, which it doesn't, but we'll demonstrate that. So I'll fire it up for you. And do you want to, Aiden, do you want to come over here? So we've got a really kind of clever start-stop toggle that I think is unique to the Mini. So it fires right up. We've got some neon fun kind of colors. The heads-up display starts. We'll put it in neutral. We'll put the emergency brake on. We can see that other than the parking brake and seat belt, that there's no other warning lights on. It's really kind of clever gas gauge. They really did a super job of the driver car interface. It really feels quite special, belying the low price. Okay, so I'll take the microphone off, and we can put it right next to the engine, and we just hear the engine, you know, the normal amount of clatter from the valve train. Obviously there's no serious noises or knocks or anything like that. The idle is steady. There's no leaks or oil smells or anything unusual whatsoever. It's just an engine bay. So we won't belabor this. We'll close it up and we'll go for a drive. Okay, so what can we look out for on a test drive on a 37,000 kilometer car that looks almost brand new? Well, we can look for check engine lights. We don't have any in the instruments. Get rid of the handbrake. We can, you know, there's normal service items like brakes and so on, so we can check for a pulsation from the brake rotors. We can check for unusual tire noises, the car that stops straight. A manual gearbox car, you know, we can check the operation of the clutch and make sure that the take-up is smooth, there's no rattling, and the engagement isn't, you know, on one extreme of the pedal. So everything here behaves normally. The clutch operation is very smooth. Take-up is, you know, right in the lower mid part of the pedal where you'd expect it. The tension on the pedal is correct. And there's no issues getting into the gear synchros or anything like that. Not that we're expecting any, but engine's very smooth, quiet. Did a really nice job of the controls. You know, the weights, the tactile feel, the noises the car makes. You know, it really, and I guess I've said this several times in the video, it really does not feel like, it feels like a much more expensive car than it is. You know, there's a lot of thought that's gone into the interior styling, not just the way it looks, but the tactile feel of the controls, the toggles, etc. And they've really made an effort to just try to do things a little bit differently and just be a little bit, you know, just clever, I think is the word. You know, taking these retro themes and adapting them for a new car. So I think they've just been really successful at that. We've got this navigation system, multimedia, phone, radio. It's a fully loaded car. Let's see what it says for multimedia. So it's got a section here for the external devices, your music collection. So presumably it has a hard drive on it. Yeah, it says no tracks in there, but presumably you can load your music onto a USB and then the car can take your music for you. Okay, so let's go up through the gears. Red line of about 6,000. And gearbox operations, excellent. Suspension is very compliant, smooth, there's no knocks. And this is not a very nice road. This is like an industrial area of Calgary. And yeah, despite it being the short wheelbase, you know, the ride, I would say, is firm, but is well controlled and still comfortable. And gearbox is nice. I haven't driven this car before, so it'll take me a while to drive it smoothly, but spins up nice. It's fairly linear. There's not a excessive amount of turbo boost. Kind of hard. Easy to match your revs. Car feels peppy. Steering is direct, sharp. Lots of torque from the engine. A great inner city car. You know, you know, overall dimensionally it's small, steering's sharp, the wheels are pushed out to the edges. You know, it's refined. Suspension's compliant. You know, maneuverable, sharp steering. You know, it's the perfect car for running around the city. My apologies for these roads. They get used by trucks, and the car would be much more in its element downtown. I'm enjoying the gearbox. A little bit of practice to be smoother on it, but goes up and down through the gears really nice. Brakes straight, no excess tire noise, no vibration from the rotors. What else would you want to know test driving a car?
What's in your heads-up display there? What does it show?
I've just got the speedometer in the heads up, although it would not surprise me at all if I could go back into the home screen go into settings. Tell me if the light turns green. Go into heads-up display and brightness, height, rotation. Oh, that's interesting. So it pops up, but the heads-up display is only visible, at a certain angle, and so then I can change the angle of that. And I see it's a little bit low for me now, so I can go into it and hit the rotation and then change the angle of it. And I can go into this one that says displayed information, and it says cruise, nav, check control messages, there's a pothole there, or entertainment and telephone. So those are the items that are displayed in the heads up. Of course, the whole nav systems in modern cars take a little bit of familiarity and time. I can't do that in a 20-minute test drive, but it's all reasonably intuitive. Control weights are nice. The controller, falls readily to hand, and it's without having to read the manual. Easy enough to find out what you need. Engine's very quiet, very smooth.
Did you want to try putting it into sport?
Sure. Where's that?
I think you twist this that way.
Oh, no, I'm in sport.
Mode.
Okay, well, there we go. So it's all kinds of fancy stuff, and it's got a little rocket ship there and a go-kart. And usually the sport package. And what would it do in this car? Probably nothing to the suspension, because it'd be conventionally sprung, but it would, and nothing to the gearbox because it's a manual gearbox. But it would remap the throttle travel and the throttle pedal for more immediate response. What else would it do? And maybe change some of the calibrations of the engine as well. So we'll see what kind of a difference it makes. Ventilation, wasn't that cool? Yeah, it's just really quite delightful how they just made all these kind of fun elements and built it into the car. And and that's part of the Mini brand value, is being a fun car. It's a fun color, it looks fun, and then they've really carried that to the interior. There's lots of other cars, like you can get a Golf in a fun color or something like that, but the interior is pretty austere in a Golf. This is not kind of ridiculous and whimsical, because it isn't that. It just has a whole bunch of really kind of interesting touches about it that give you, these kind of little moments of happiness. So this is just a fun, happy car. And, especially if you're using it to commute, it's, especially, okay, so that the sport button does feel different. And it must be changing the exhaust as well, because it sounds a little bit different, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds louder.
So I'm
Green mode.
Yeah, so I've got a few modes here: mid mode and sport mode. Yeah, you can definitely. I'm not sure what exactly it does to the engine, but it does sharpen it up and makes it a bit sportier. Before, when I was trying to blip the revs, when I went to downshift, I couldn't even really hear it. And so when I put it in the sport mode, I can actually hear what the engine's doing. So that's probably the mode I'd leave it in. And I love the way this central sort of LED ring then changes colors depending on what you're doing, just notifying you that you're actually doing something. It's actually more than just a gimmick, I think. I think it's in terms of the driver involvement, I think it's meaningful. When you press the button, you get this sort of visual indication that you've actually done something. Where sometimes you press the button, you might not know if the car took it or not, or you didn't press it hard enough, or you pressed the wrong button, or whatever. Okay, so that concludes the driving video on this Mini. Everything behaves properly. There's no indication that the car has any issues. The clutch operation and so forth is perfect, and so you know, the car operates as a new car basically. So anyway, it's a fun car. It's fun to drive. It's fun to be in, and I'm sure the next owner will get many years of enjoyment out of it. So in summary, I think that this is a car that's going to make somebody really happy. I guess that's what my overall feeling on it. It's such a cheerful color, and you know, it's in such nice condition. I mean, it's interior doesn't look like anybody's ever been in it. It has a few little dents in it, which could be taken out easily with paintless dent removal. And the only reason we haven't done it is a scheduling issue here. You know, $500 or something would even take those out. Not that you notice them, because you don't. But the condition is really nice on the car. The overall eye appeal is really quite spectacular. It's a really good-looking car with the kind of creamsicle orange and the black trim. It's a fully loaded Cooper S, which means, you know, you've got heads up and a Harman Kardon sound. You've got virtually all the equipment you do on a fancy Jaguar SUV at 3 times the price. It does not feel like a cheap car at all. It was actually quite reasonable to buy new. Replacement cost on this car is around $45,000. And now that it's you know, now that it's 8 years old, you know, it's a fraction of that. So it really represents, I think, a lot for the money in terms of, you know, eye appeal and driver enjoyment, in terms of economy, fuel economy, servicing costs, etc. So it really is, I think, a fantastic used car for somebody. When people look for a used car, they ask for one that you know, has no accidents, that's low mileage, that's one owner, that has a complete maintenance history, it's in good condition, you know, and it really just checks every single box. So I think you know, it's just going to be a great car for somebody, and there's a lot of life left in it, and a lot of enjoyment left in it, which I think is part of the Mini brand value. I think, you know, you can have more fun and more smiles in this car than you know, many other much more expensive vehicles. And every time you get in and out of it, it just feels special. And it's a really unique car, really fun car. So with that, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Lromanosky from Calgary, Canada.